Back with us now, we have Congressman Dusty Johnson from House Transportation and Infrastructure, along with Forbes Media Chair and Editor-in-Chief Steve Forbes. He's my former boss. Okay, I'm going to ask you both this. First to you, Congressman. A piece by Doug Schoen and Andy Stein in the Wall Street Journal. It's suggesting Hillary could be the Democrat candidate in 2024. Are we going to see a rematch with Trump?
Well, I would say this. Hillary Clinton was not a particularly impressive candidate. I cannot imagine the Democrats would do that. But as a Republican, I'd be ecstatic. But I think for America, here's the bigger question. We have 350 million people in this country. Many of them are brilliant. And I just feel like America's her best days ahead. Let's focus on the future. Let's get some new energy. Let's get some new blood. Let's get some new vision. I do not think a rematch of 2016 is going to give that to Americans.
Okay, we feel your sunny optimism there, Congressman. Okay, now to you, Steve. You know, Steve, it's not a good look when The Hill, Politico, CNN, the New York Times is reporting that Democrats are talking about replacing Biden on the ticket because of his bad poll numbers. So, you know, now there's talk of, you know, switching up the matchup. Even the New York Times is talking about a Biden-Liz Cheney ticket. What do you think, Steve?
Well, it shows how desperate they are. As somebody said, why aren't they going to nominate Dr. Fauci? To really stir the pot. But Hillary Clinton, that's right, saying we're going to resurrect Richard Nixon and run him again. No, they do need to look to the future, but they don't have a future because they don't have policies that make for a good future. They're just dead set on the socialist, modern socialist agenda. They don't know how to fight inflation. They want to rig the voting system. They've opened the borders. You add it all up, the American people are resoundingly saying more and more to crime and everything else, no. And so Hillary Clinton, I agree with the congressman that it would be wonderful, Congressman Johnson, if Hillary Clinton ran again. We could find about Russian collusion. We could find about what happened to all those emails, what happened to her various computers.
We hear you loud and clear. You know, Congressman, to Steve's point, this is also happening, too. The Daily Beast is reporting that Democrats are not talking about the Biden agenda anymore as they're out on the campaign trail. The White House is focusing on the Democrats' effective federal takeover of state elections. How is voter ID used to get things like medical care? Is, quote, racism the equivalent of Jim Crow on steroids when blue states have been doing that for a long time?
Oh, listen, this is amazing to me. I mean, America needs to be a serious country. We have serious problems. The idea that we're going to use these bumper sticker slogans to attack Republicans just does not make any sense to me. I mean, in Washington, D.C., where I'm at now, I'd rather be in South Dakota. But when I'm in D.C., I can't go sit down in a restaurant unless I show my photo ID and a vaccine card. The idea that somehow that a photo ID is racist doesn't make any sense to me. But, Liz, honestly, this is exactly like what happened in Georgia. You know, in Georgia, they shortened the window for early voting to 3 weeks. That was roundly called a racist policy, but that's still more early voting time than New York has. So is New York State just filled with a bunch of racists? I think we're off the path here.
Yeah, we hear you, Congressman. And Steve, to the Congressman's point, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell gave a withering response to the president's speech yesterday. Let's take a listen. I'd like your reaction. Watch.
He compared, listen to this, a bipartisan majority of senators to literal traitors. How profoundly unpresidential. So the world saw our commander-in-chief propagandize against his own country to a degree that would have made Pravda blush.
What do you think, Steve?
Well, I think the senator makes a very good point because this has foreign policy implications. Do you think Vladimir Putin would be making his moves against Ukraine, against Belarus, against Kazakhstan? Do you think China would be eyeing Taiwan the way it is? Do you think the Iranians would be on the verge of getting the material for a nuclear weapon? They're only months away from it. If Joe Biden wasn't so weak and was trashing his own country, they're taking their cues from Washington. And what they're seeing is leading to dangerous behavior, not only for our economy here at home, but for our security around the world.
And we should point out, too, we hear what you're saying, Steve. You know, Georgia has more early voting days and no excuse absentee balloting than Biden's home state of Delaware or New York. Again, are those blue Democrat states, are they Jim Crow states, too? And the other thing, too, Congressman, we're finding the Senate Democrat caucus, the Democrats in the Senate, used the filibuster more than 15,500 times since 1989, but somehow the filibuster is racist, according to Biden and Chuck Schumer.
Yeah, to me, we have just really let this rhetoric get out of hand in this country. And I do think part of it is that they need to change the headlines. I mean, when you talk about inflation, when you talk about the supply chain crunch, when you talk about the COVID numbers, when you talk about what is still going on at the southern border, these are not good things for the Biden administration. I just feel like we need more strategic leadership in this country. Whispering soft nothings, sweet nothings into the American people's ears, that's not a strategy. We need real leadership, not wishful thinking.
And the doom and gloom rhetoric out of the White House, this is going to be the most severe Christmas ever, the worst Christmas ever, Steve. You know, the downbeat messages dividing the country on racism, attacking states for their vote laws, right? I mean, it just feels like light years away from the Trump era where, yeah, it was crazy time, right, with what Trump was saying and the things he was doing, but Americans felt upbeat. They felt good. They started to feel, a lot of Americans felt that the country was headed in the right direction. And now, Steve, we have inflation dangerously high. Steve, I'd like to your reaction to Jen Psaki, and let's listen to Senator John Kennedy on this. Watch this.
There is additional data that is coming out tomorrow, and we certainly anticipate. Forecasters generally expect elevated inflation tomorrow, especially for the year-over-year measure, which includes high inflation from nearly a year ago when the economy was reopening.
I have a plea. Above all else, above everything else on your plate, I ask that you please preserve the independence of the Federal Reserve. The last thing that America needs right now is to have the Federal Reserve politicized. It's the last thing the world needs right now. And believe me, the whole world is watching.
Steve, so that was Jen Psaki admitting that, yeah, inflation is elevated. It's not transitory. That was Senator John Kennedy pleading with Fed Chair Jerome Powell, don't be politicized. If you need to raise rates to stop runaway inflation, you're going to need to do it. Don't get pressure from the Democrats. Your reaction to that, Steve? Final word.
I wish Chairman Powell had taken that advice if he ever takes it a year and a half ago, when he approved all of this fast spending that led to the money creation that is going to give us even worse inflation in 2022. Unfortunately, the whole Democratic approach is giving hypocrisy a bad name. Powell has been part of the problem, not the solution.
We hear you loud and clear, Steve Forbes, and it was good stuff from Congressman Dusty Johnson and Steve Forbes there. We were just scrolling on the numbers for inflation. The last number was 7%. So, yeah, you guys, inflation moving inexorably higher in just the first year of the Biden White House. It's good to see you both, Congressman Dusty Johnson and Steve Forbes. Come back soon.